Welcome to the second session on feasibility assessment of events. In the previous session, we had learned about the basics of a feasibility study, its types, purposes, steps of conducting a feasibility study, and the benefits of carrying a feasibility study. This session will orient you towards the various parameters or domains in which feasibility of events is assessed. Joining us for this session is famous event industry expert Ankur Kalra. Ankur is the founder and chief experience officer of Vibgyor Brand Services Private Limited. Ankur is the founder of Vibgyor, one of the best known names in the experiential industry of India. With over 2 decades of experience, he has taken Vibgyor from its humble beginnings in 2002 to over 100 employee organization with offices across Delhi, Mumbai and Bangalore. Vibgyor stands out from many experiential marketing agencies across India as a process-driven experiential agency that operates on an in-house project management software developed in-house by his team. So learners, we should feel privileged to have an industry stalwart amongst us. We should be also aware about the clients of Vibgyor, Amazon, Huawei, Reckitt, Adidas, Reliance, Hindustan Unilever Limited, Samsung, and many more. Vibgyor also launched its own IP event called Make Me Up in the beauty, skincare, and hair space in 2019. Ankur, the founder of Vibgyor, is also one of the founder members of the Event and Entertainment Management Association of India, popularly known as EMA, and has been closely involved in the functioning of its executive committee in various capacities over the years.
Hello learners, as Dr. Hina said, my name is Ankur Kalra. I run an agency called Vibgyor and we've been around for now 18 years. I'll very quickly show you an audiovisual which will make you understand about the kind of work that we do.
Many things go into the making of a great event. Unique ideas, obsessive planning, and of course, keeping a finger on the pulse of the audience. We believe that every brand is different, and every brand deserves a unique voice, a new story, an experience that is simply unlike any other.
Vibgyor has been at the forefront of the experiential marketing industry for over a decade now. Actually, much before the term experiential marketing was coined. Through this journey, we've worked with some of the best brands and have created experiences that amaze. It's a process that brings us pure excitement. And once you've tasted that feeling, there's nothing else quite like it.
Creating great brand experiences can take us everywhere. From the biggest shopping malls to the bylanes of rural India. We like to connect with consumers in new and different ways, in ways they just can't forget. At Vibgyor, the focus is quite simple. We are not in the business of creating executions. We are in the business of creating great experiences. And while we love the madness of it all, great brand experiences always start with the brief.
It all starts with the brief. We read it, we study it,
Scrutinize it
obsess over it, and then we read it again.
until we get to a strategy, one that's clear, inspiring, and most importantly, that works.
We are big on brainstorming, strategizing, of thinking inside out, and sometimes outside in. With copious amounts of coffee by our side, we obsess over the smallest of details, working out all the angles. If anything, a decade of experience tells us that you can never be over-prepared. The impact that our projects create has made us a familiar face at industry awards.
The silver in this category goes to Vibgyor for Lakme.
But while the awards might speak for themselves, it is connecting with different people that gives us the adrenaline rush. We get your brand up close to the right people and in the right places. From college campuses to small towns. From fun zones for children to friendly neighborhood markets. On the roads or in sports fields, we are there wherever your consumer is. What makes us come to work every day? It's a love of brands and creating unique experiences for them. It's something we've done for a very long time, with color, energy, and a style that is uniquely Vibgyor.
Today, talking about the feasibility assessment parameters and domains. In the last session, I had given you a brief outline of what exactly is a feasibility study and what are the different aspects that are part of a feasibility study. Today, we are deep diving into each of the parameters or domains of a feasibility study and how is it that we can make our feasibility study effective and how it can help us in creating a successful event. So deep diving straight into the subject, there are 5 or 6 different areas that we need to cover in detail in order to conduct a feasibility study. They are listed here on the screen. They include marketing feasibility, operational feasibility, risk feasibility, financial feasibility, and schedule or time feasibility. If we cover these 5 aspects, then we would have covered most of the areas that are required in a feasibility study. So let me take each one of these aspects separately and deep dive into what all is required in the marketing, operational, risk, financial, and schedule feasibility of an event. So let's start with the marketing feasibility. When we talk about marketing feasibility, we need to understand whether the concepts and ideas that have been planned for the event and for the target market through a brainstorming process are actually going to work for the event or not. We need to understand each one of us has a lot of plans. If I want to tomorrow hold an event for, say, children, and I want to hold it at a certain venue, and I want to attract a certain target audience, are those ideas and concepts actually going to work? Are the children and their parents going to come? Is my event actually going to achieve the objectives that have been laid out for it? So various ideas that we have, various plans that we have for the event, that need to be really put to test, and we need to understand whether this event will really stand the test of the market or not. Till now, our ideas were on paper or on a PowerPoint presentation. Before they are actually put into practice, the marketing feasibility needs to be carried out, where we need to take interviews, speak to people. If my target audience is, if my event is a beauty event or a children's event, I need to speak to 10 people who have children in that age group who are expected to be my audience. And I need to ask them that if I hold an event in Ashoka Hotel and the entry ticket of that event is 250 rupees, where these are the kind of facilities that are there, would you actually come there for a family outing with the children? Would the children come alone or would they come with their parents? If they come with their parents, what is it that their parents will do while the children are playing, etc., etc., etc. So all the ideas that I had about the event, are they actually going to work in the real scenario or not? That is really the marketing feasibility or the environmental search or scanning. We have to look at the environment, and then we'll have to search for clues on what are the success parameters of the event, whether the ideas and concepts and thoughts that we had, are they really going to work or not? That is what really is called the marketing feasibility. Now, the second and very, very important aspect is the operational feasibility. An event is all about the operations. I may have a great idea, but actually on the day of the event, if the idea does not pan out the way I want it to be panned out, the way we had planned, everything can fall flat and the event can be a huge failure. So what are the different aspects of an operational feasibility? Whether the right amount of resources are deployed at the event. Do we have the skills that are needed for the event execution? Is there technical and system feasibility? Is there legal feasibility? Is the community ready to support this event? Is the venue appropriate for the event? Is the media ready to support this event? And many other aspects. Is the security enough to do this event, etc., etc. So there are hundreds of uh, aspects of an operational feasibility, because an event is not something which is happening online. It's happening in a physical, real world, in a physical scenario. And physical scenarios have various constraints. So operationally, all the aspects, when we do a feasibility of study, for example, we recently did this event for Amazon, where their global CEO, Mr. Jeff Bezos, had come. We conducted a feasibility study more than 4 months or 5 months before the event, where we went through each and every aspect of the event. Where will people queue up once they've taken tickets? How many minutes will each person take at the registration counter? Where will the VIPs come in from? How many people do we have to put on security? How many people do we have to put on parking? What are the different skill sets that each one of the people will have? How many walkie-talkies do we need to have? What is the technical system that will ensure that there is uninterrupted sound and light at the venue? How many kilowatts of energy will we require? Is there a secure line available there? Is there an uninterrupted power supply which the stadium can give us? This event was done at Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium, and a very detailed feasibility study of all operational aspects of the event were carried out. Will the police give permissions for having a crowd of 5,000 people there? Is there any other legal hassle? Does it come in a VIP area? Do we actually have the permissions from the central government, the Delhi government, from fire, MCD, etc., etc., etc.? Is there music licensing which is required? Will the people around do any protests? Are there any small traders around who would not like an event of that size and scale to happen there? We had to speak to the community, to the shopkeepers, to the residents. Okay, is this the most conducive venue in Delhi for this event? Will the media come there? Can I have a separate enclosure for the media? Is there a separate area that I can earmark for a press conference at the event, etc., etc.? All these are operational aspects of the event that one has to take into consideration before one actually puts money into executing the event. And that is the most important part of a feasibility study. So the second aspect the first aspect we spoke about was the marketing feasibility, right? Where I'm talking about the ideas and concepts. Are they actually going down well with the target audience, with the market that is intended for this event? This aspect is about the operational feasibility, which includes right from venue, permissions, electricity, technology, security, skill sets, resources, people, all those aspects, anything and everything that comes in operations is part of this aspect. And I would actually really rate it right at the top when we take a feasibility study for any project. Now, let's go on to the next aspect, which is the risk feasibility. I did speak a little bit about the risks in the operational part, but the risk feasibility is a subject in itself. Continuing the same example of this Amazon Sambhav event that we had done at Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium, we had to do the entire risk feasibility. We had set up these 3 hangars, which were these transparent structures which held the entire exhibition area in them. So what was the risk associated with them? Right from the fire risks to weather risks to rioting risks, we took various kinds of insurance, the liability of all the workers who were working in that event. So there are various things which are in our control, which we have to take operational steps for. And then there are various things which are not in our control, which we have to take corrective measures for. We have to take insurances for. We have to take permissions from various government authorities from. And mostly when we are doing large event, multiple authorities are involved, and all of them together do a risk assessment of the event. So right from fire to the municipal authorities, to the local government, to the central government, to the police, to music licensing, there are various authorities involved, each who will each assess. There are electrical licenses that you require. What is the amount of power? What is the amount of load? Can it cause a short circuit at the event? So all those risks have to be assessed, and corrective measure there has to be an answer. Is it in my control? Is it not in my control? If it is in my control, what are the measures I'm taking to ensure that it goes flawlessly? If it is not in my control, can I take insurance against it? And what is the amount of insurance cover that I will need to really, tomorrow, can there be a structural failure? Can there be loss of property and life? What is the financial cover that can cover that loss of property and life in the unfortunate event of it happening? So when we are doing a feasibility study, we have to think of the worst case scenario. Are we in charge of the catering there? Is the food being consumed by the guests provided by us? Do we have liability to cover food poisoning in case any of the guests falls sick due to the food that we provided? So one has to get into all aspects of the risk, and this is very, very critical part of the feasibility study, where we have to think of everything. The whole concept here is think of everything that can go wrong with your event, and then have measures, have countermeasures to cover those possible the possible risks that arise of those things that can go wrong. So right from electrical failure to VIP security to local authorities permissions to music licenses to any kind of things, bad weather, storm, anything which is in our control and which is not in our control, they have to be assessed and put in the feasibility study. The next subject, which is very dear to my heart and very important part of the feasibility study, is the financial feasibility. If I've studied all the risks, I've done the marketing, I've made sure that yes, my ideas will work. I've covered all the risk. I've taken insurance worth a few crores. I've figured out all the operational aspects. But I had thought that I was spending 1 crore to do the event, and my earning from the event is only 10 lakhs. Does this entire thing make any sense? Which is why at the time of feasibility study, we need to make sure that a detailed economic analysis. Every event has multiple sources of revenue. Typically, there are 3 or 4 areas that every event earns revenue from: sponsorship, ticket sales, food and beverage, and any other associated incomes, merchandise, etc., which are small other additional incomes, right? But typically, the money that sponsors pay, the money that participants pay, the money that is used in selling food and beverage, and then any other miscellaneous. You sell brochures, you sell merchandise, there are stalls that you put up of different associated services, etc. So one has to figure out what will be the outflow and what will be the inflow, and take a best case scenario. And once one has worked out the financial feasibility of a particular event, only then one has to go about spending that money and securing the funds to do the event. So it is commonly known as a cost-benefit analysis. It is used to determine the expenses and the savings that are expected from the event, and compare it with the money that one spends and take a decision whether this event is financially viable or not. The schedule or the time feasibility. I may put all those things together, but what if I'm planning an event in the month of July in Bombay when the monsoon is in full flow? Then I have not taken into account what is the time feasibility of the event. Or I'm planning a rave party, which I'm planning at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Or I'm planning, I'm putting up a large screen and I'm doing a screening of a film, but I'm doing it at 4 o'clock in the evening when the sun is not set, right? Or I'm doing an event which is meant for the winters. I'm doing it in summers, when I'm saying that I will do a children's event in the summer vacations because children are at home, but the weather is not conducive for parents to bring out the children, and so on and so forth. Or I'm doing a large event, for example, our Make Me Up event. We had done all the arrangements. We had not taken into consideration the Saya, which is, those are the days which are reserved for weddings. And a large number of the makeup artists who were part of our community are busy on those specific sayas on which weddings happen. So the time feasibility is very important to for the success of an event. Is your target audience actually going to be coming to your event at that time? So one has to do primary and secondary research, take opinions of various people who are expected to attend the event, and find out from the environment around them whether that time is suitable for that particular event. So this is about the schedule of the time feasibility. Certain theoretical part, I have covered all these aspects in the different 5 aspects, but what are the alternative criteria? There is this concept of CIDAR-E, which is to analyze the customer audience, to see what is the exposure potential, what is the distribution channel of the audience, do we have an advantage over competitors, is there a resource investment involved, what are the characteristics of the event, what are the event organization's reputation, and what are the entertainment and hospitality avenues. If each one of these criteria are already covered in the 5 aspects that I spoke about, but this is just a summary of each one of these aspects which need to be taken into account while conducting a detailed feasibility study for an event. What are the different tools that are there for feasibility study? We can do a feasibility study in various ways. A SWOT analysis, I'm sure each one of you is aware what a SWOT analysis is, where we identify the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats for a particular event project, and we put them down on a piece of paper and then conduct a feasibility study basis that. We can do a gap analysis, which is a risk management tool, as it looks for gaps in the feasibility study and the event best practices. This is best conducted during the drafting of a feasibility study because of the process of compiling the studies may uncover areas which may have been left out. When we see what is the gap, that is when we will realize that this is what is missing from my event. And finally is a cost benefit analysis, where we've spoken about the outflow and the income. We take all the revenue streams that would provide the income for the event, and we figure out all the costs. The venue will cost us this much, the technical will cost us this much, the ticketing will cost us this much, etc., etc. We take all the aspects of the cost, we take all the aspects of the income, and we merge the two and we create a cost benefit analysis. So these are 3 broad tools that need to be used in a feasibility study, which is a SWOT analysis, a gap analysis, and a cost benefit analysis. But what is critical to an event, to a feasibility study, is these 5 aspects: the marketing, operational, risk, financial, and time, the schedule. So finally, just to give you a summary of what are the important aspects in writing a feasibility report, you need to have a brief description of the business or the activity. The event framework and the alternative must be clearly jotted down. The human and economic factor has to be taken care of. Most important factor is the most important aspect is whether or not this event is going to be successful. We need to take precautions. We need to figure out what are the precautions we need to take while executing the event. What are all the risk factors, and what have we done to mitigate those risks? Have we taken permissions? Have we taken extra security? Have we taken insurance? Like I said, what is in our control and what is not in our control. We take corrective action for whatever is in our control, and we take insurance for whatever is not in our control. And basis all this, we decide at the end of a feasibility study whether it is suggested to really get into that event or not to get. So that, friends, is in short all about the detailed aspects to be taken care of while creating a feasibility report. I hope this was not too technical, and I hope you've understood from this conversation how important a feasibility study is and what are the different aspects to take care of while writing a feasibility report. Thank you very much for listening in.
Thank you, Ankur. That was a very comprehensively put presentation and explained in a very lucid manner.
I would say, thank you, Dr. Hina. I would say it's always better to be safe than to be sorry. One of the most important aspects of the feasibility study is the risk assessment. We have to think, when we do events, all kinds of unforeseen things happen. We do an event for 5,000 people. If 10,000 people turn up. We recently did an event where we had catered for food for 2,000 people and 4,500 people turned up. So we had to overnight create, it was a 2-day event. On the next day, we created 5,000 food packets and we distributed amongst those people. But so all kinds of risks have to be evaluated in a feasibility study, financial risks, operational risks, legal risks, and basis that a feasibility study has to be concluded and one has to decide whether this event is worth doing or not. So it's always better to be safe than to be sorry. And I would request all the students to please, those of you who get into the world of event management, to please conduct a thorough feasibility study before taking any kinds of decisions on the viability of an event.
I think it's very, very relevant to look at the risk aspects of events, because we never know when what might happen and what unprecedented situation might come up, and something suddenly might come up. So I think wonderful insights over there, Ankur, and this brings us to the end of this session, and I'm really thankful to you for sparing your valuable time for the learners enrolled in this course. And learners, there's a small message for you. Do watch these 2 videos consecutively. Please make notes in your diary and do utilize these sessions for carrying the learnings forward in whatever you want to do in future, in terms of whether you want to incorporate these learnings into your own experiences when you enter the event industry, or wherever you go, in whatever profession you enter. Do make use of these sessions, and I hope you were able to gain a lot from this session. Thank you once again, and thank you, Ankur, so much for coming.
Thank you. Thank you.
Addressing the students. Thank you.